I'm Adam DeSanctis. Welcome to MBA Now. I'm here today with Rohin Tagra, founder and CEO of Azimuth, to discuss Val, Azimuth's AI-powered compliance expert, purpose-built for the mortgage industry to help compliance, legal, and operations teams get clear, defensible answers in seconds. Rohin, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
Let's dive right in. AI, of course, has really taken off in our industry. What problem does Val solve for mortgage lenders and servicers?
Val helps companies understand the laws and what they mean that apply to them much quicker. Today, if you look around, if you get into, hey, what fees can I charge in Georgia or in Florida? It's a tough question. And sometimes what you're going to have to do is you're going to, call your lawyer, call your compliance group, and go and try and figure that answer out. Val is going to be able to give you that answer in seconds because it's defensible. All of our content is proprietary, and it's got answers from lawyers. Bradley's the law firm that we use. They write the content, and it's against only our data. It does not go to the internet.
And I find all this so amazing, and I interview many leaders about how AI is empowering their company's employees, customers, and consumers. How does Val compare and differ from those other ones?
So I think we've taken a different take on it. One, a lot of those go out to the internet to get answers. And so when you do that, those answers don't become defensible. I'm sure you've used ChatGPT or Claude or any of those other ones, right? Where you go and ask it a question and then you look at where the source came from and you got to look, is that source really reliable? Sometimes it's Reddit, sometimes it's a blog, sometimes it might be the actual source, but you can spend just as much time trying to get that and see if the sources are correct as you could just to figure out the answer by yourself in the first place. Especially when it comes to legal and compliance work. I mean, it's one thing when you want to say, hey, what should I do on vacation in Italy, right? You don't have to go check those sources. But when you want to know, hey, can I charge this fee? Or, what is the escrow requirements for something in the state of New York? You have to be 100% perfect.
Yeah, I totally agree there. And compliance is so important. Why isn't generic AI enough then for compliance decisions?
Because the expectation is, I think, as I was saying, 100% accuracy, right? And you've got to know that you can be 100% confident in those answers. And so generic, they do pretty good. You've seen them. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Like we've asked it some questions and it'll come back with, it looks pretty good. And it's actually talking about a personal loans law versus a law on mortgage. So maybe to the average layperson, they're going to look and say, oh, this looks pretty good, but it's really not going to work. And so that's why the generic AI does not work for this. And you find that people might use it for helpful, but then they spend a ton of time trying to validate those sources.
That's a good point there. How does Val ensure its answers are accurate and trustworthy?
Well, so we've taken a different approach to it. One, we bring all the laws into our own platform, and we've turned those into structured data. And then we've got Bradley, the law firm, so lawyers, real experts in the space, writing content on that. And when you ask Val a question, it only goes to that. We've turned the rest of the internet off, so it doesn't hallucinate. So it can't go to that blog. It can't go to Reddit. It can't go to, just one of these untrusted sources. We know we're only going against our proprietary data, which is created by lawyers, and our proprietary technology that turns those laws into data. So the other thing that we do is if we can't answer a question, we just tell you we can't answer it as opposed to try and guess at it. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback on that and saying, hey, if you can't answer it, just tell me that. And I'd rather know that than somebody making a guess at it.
Right. We'd rather have the right answer and the correct one than the wrong one. I like that. And as we've seen, AI is so powerful in terms of efficiency. What kind of savings are users experiencing with Val?
Hours, weeks. So if you think about sometimes when you've got a question like, hey, I want to know all the late fees that you can charge in every state. So like the 50-state matrix. You're going to call your business group. You're going to call your compliance group. They might have it. They might not. Then they're going to call the lawyers. They might not have it. And then you got to go to outside counsel. So you might be weeks in this process and could be $50,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars out to get an answer like that. Val's going to answer that question in seconds because all the data is there, and it'll give you that matrix and give you all those answers broken down that way.
This is all very impressive, Rohin. Final question. Can you share an example of complex compliance question that Val can answer in seconds?
Yeah, so I think that was an example of one, like the 50-state survey. You can not just ask about fees, you can ask it about marketing disclosures, about materials, or if you want to understand foreclosure, preempt laws across the states. So it can handle a lot of different things across all the states and federal at the same time. But doing 50 state surveys are a prime example of a really complex question. It'll answer in seconds, whereas it would take you a lot of time to do that and then get to the accuracy on it, and then probably require multiple sets of validation across compliance teams and legal teams.
Rohin, those are great examples. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I can't wait to see what's in store next for Val. Thank you for joining us today, and let's do it again soon.
Sounds great. I appreciate the time, Adam. Thanks for having me.